Keep swimming, keep swimming. So, what would you do if somebody offered to donate 13,000 pounds of fresh salmon to a food bank?
That's awesome.
You would be excited, right?
Yeah.
What if I told you these salmon are still alive and swimming?
That gets harder very
It
quickly.
does.
Very quickly.
Yes. So a New York food bank was offered a huge donation of fresh fish, which, as you can imagine, is something they probably don't get very often.
Yeah.
But it came with a catch. I love that little double pun there. The fish was still alive, and I was wrong. It was 13,000 individual salmon fish.
Oh, wow.
It was a total of 40,000 pounds of fish. Yeah, we're talking a lot. And the kicker was that they were all still alive and swimming in the farm's giant indoor tanks. Okay. The organizations would need to figure out how to get the 13,000 fish from the water, get them processed, get them frozen, and then they could distribute it regionally to multiple food pantries. Okay. Now, the good news is, thankfully, they were able to make like a team of food pantry volunteers to help the staffers scoop up all the salmon. And then the team had to empty the tanks in just a matter of weeks. And they were able to cold pack tons of the fish for shipment to a processor.
Okay.
Okay. So it all ended well.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because local Coho is the name of the startup company that had these salmon. Okay. Yeah. And they were piloting a sustainable salmon farming system that employed recirculated water. Okay. Oh. Because salmon, you always hear that they swim upstream. They literally, it's not like a goldfish where you can maybe change the water every couple weeks.
Right.
You'd have to be constantly cycling this water. And they were basically able to recirculate it through filters instead of having to dispose
water in.
water.
Yeah.
So it was a very cool idea. And its facility was located west of Syracuse, and it had been supplying this Coho salmon to wholesalers, retailers, including high-end sushi restaurants in Manhattan. Okay, so we're talking high-quality fish here. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And their goal was to build these regional farms all across the country. But unfortunately, the company was just not able to raise enough capital to expand and become profitable. So the whole time they were operating at a loss. So when they decided to end things in January of 2025, they had all this fresh fish that was kind of literally in fish limbo, if you will. Oh. It was still alive and kicking and swimming. But then you have places like the food bank, which would love a donation of protein of all things.
Yeah.
And so when they called the food bank, they're like, listen, we got all this fish. We just need your help in order to get it processed. And so it was a total of 42 volunteers, a local business with refrigerated trucks. They offered to ship the fish for free from the processor to an hour away in Rochester. And then this company, the local Coho company, even their staff pitched in to make sure that the job got done in time.
Oh.
And it was interesting because the food bank's director said a lot of companies going out of business would have just been like, take what you can get, we'll do the best we can. Yeah. But he said, no, this staff was so hardworking in trying to help get this donation to the food banks. Because think about the waste. What do you do with all this salmon? You can't, get processed and quick frozen and get distributed out to people who need it. So, this is really impressive. And all this salmon got distributed to a total of 243 food banks around New York. as well as soup kitchens, shelters, and other institutions in the food bank's network. All in all, this total catch had 26,000 servings.
That's
Okay. That's
awesome.
amazing. So I love a good feel good story. I love it when businesses, I mean, they could have just let these fish die and then thrown them in the trash, or
Yeah.
done like biofuel where they basically compost the fish.
Yeah.
But the fact that this company had the forethought to say, hey, we've got high end fish. We know that the food banks are struggling, that they're getting more and more people. Let's figure out a way to get this like super awesome fish to the food banks. So bravo.
I will say, I don't know that I've met a more engineering group of people than people who run food banks.
Oh
Like
goodness.
finding resources, making things happen that you just had, like looking at it, be like, that there's no way, and they pull it off, and they find every nook and cranny and penny and quarter and volunteer and organizations that'll pitch in. Like there's no more resourceful people than the ones who run food banks.
Absolutely agree. And some of the biggest companies in the US, the reason why they donate so much food to food banks is not because the business had the idea to do it.
Yeah.
Typically, it is actually people that work for the food bank that go out and contact each and every business. And they arrange not only to make it easy on the business to donate, but a lot of times the food bank has to go to each of these places and pick up the food. They have
Yep.
no idea what they're getting. And then they have to somehow scramble to figure out how to make it work. And I mean, it is just, these people are not like applauded enough. They are not just given the respect they deserve because they have a mission. They are trying to feed hungry people and they do such an amazing job.
Oh, I agree. I fully agree. And this story just makes that just very clear that where there's a will, there's a way.
No. And like I said, I love a good, like, happy ending. I'm so sorry that this business is not, was not able to be profitable because I do think that they had a great idea and hopefully
Yeah.
it can continue on somewhere. But I am so thankful that this company thought outside of themselves and like kind of like their last push as a business was making
Yeah.
this huge, amazing donation. So I just I'm just so appreciative that they thought of others when because when your business is closing, it's very easy to go, woe is me. And
Yeah.
they didn't. They thought of others. So
Yeah.
bravo.
I agree.